What up, anybody, and welcome to another episode of the SVR Podcast. Right, folks, we are interviewing with a homie that started his music around 2020. Then, he had his first ever rap stage name before. I'm gonna mention that right now. His name was Ghost the Rapper. And now, he made his return in the rap game, the new rap stage name, with the new album that he dropped around a month ago, 26 February. So I'm gonna introduce to you for today's podcast, man. His name is Nax.
And the crowd goes crazy.
Welcome into the podcast.
Going good, man. Thanks for having me.
Alright, Phoenix, so what I have to do with you is ask you 10 questions regarding about your rap history, the new album that you have dropped a month ago, the reason why you didn't bring back the rap stage name, and much more we will talk about. So without any further ado, man, let's get started with the questions, shall we?
I'm ready, man. Let's get it.
Alright, the first question that we're gonna kick off with is, how did you have came across in music?
I started with poetry. I used to write a lot of poetry when I was a little kid, and I saw that was going nowhere, so I decided to turn poetry into rap and kind of just found my voice around 2017 and started looking up some beats, rapping over them, and I figured out this is something I could do. I was writing rap before that, but the first song I actually released was in 2020, and it was called Freak Show. And it was terrible, but it was a good start. My first few songs, my first album, I wasn't necessarily going too crazy with rhyme schemes and everything. I was kind of just developing my sound. I think lately I've been a little more experimental with that type of stuff, like rhymes, flows, and everything. But at first, I was just trying to get my foot in the door, you know?
Next question, that will be, who was your inspiration that you got inspired from your state?
Well, I'm originally from New York, and, you know, some rappers, some New York rappers that I drew inspiration from was obviously Biggie Smalls. He was from Brooklyn. Nas was from Mount Vernon, which is where I grew up. So I always heard, you know, Nas's name was always going around. I always heard the name. And those are definitely two from New York that I drew a lot of inspiration from, you know. Biggie, I was never too much into Biggie. I only say that because you were asking rappers from my state. And those are two that I could think of. I never followed him and his discography, but I know him for his flow. I think he has one of the smoothest flows in rap. I mean, I've heard a lot of his freestyles and everything like that. The dude was he was nuts. But for Nas, yeah, Illmatic, I think. I don't think that's been touched since.
Right. Third question. What was the first thing that you have done musically?
Well, musically, when I was about 9 years old, I started playing the piano. And I got pretty good at that. I played the piano for quite a few years, got really good at it, and I kind of stopped in recent years, but actually just recently bought a piano, a used one, but I'm going to start learning again. That was my introduction to music overall. I mean, I like to rap over piano beats, but I've always thought about making my own instrumental, with the piano. So I have a few ideas, and that's actually one of the reasons I bought a piano, is because I want to try to make some melodies and stuff with it, record them, and then turn it into a beat.
Alright, the next question is, we gotta talk about the new album that you have dropped a month ago, and it was called Church of Phoenix. In the album, it had the combination between wordplay and metaphors and substance, like something meaningful. So, can you tell me in particular what will be the meaning behind of your album Church of Phoenix?
Man, I don't know. I think it's really just a glimpse into my mind, and that was kind of the idea behind the name Church of Phoenix because, I kind of look at it like a church, like you think of a sanctuary, and then you think of the sanctuary of your mind. Like, a lot of people say your mind is the sanctuary. So it's kind of like, it's not necessarily like I'm the preacher, like, oh, this is my church. It's more, this is my headspace, and I'm giving people a glimpse into it. Um, my first three albums, I was Ghost the Rapper, and now it's Phoenix. So this was kind of my comeback, and obviously, the story of the Phoenix. It's like a mythological creature that rises from the ashes. So it was I was trying to go off that symbolism.
Fifth question. So, did your music have evolved since the beginning?
Yeah, I definitely think it did. Like I said, my first album, even maybe my first two albums, I was really experimenting in the sense of just experimenting with rapping, like trying to learn how to rap. Um, but I think Down the Alley, my third album, and then this one, Church of Phoenix, I'm definitely trying new things. I think I got the basics of rap down, so now I'm just kind of having fun with it and trying different flows and everything like that, and approaching different topics that I normally wouldn't touch on.
Next question. So, after your return in the rap game, did your expectation dropping new music went a little high to you?
Nah, man, I don't expect anything from anyone. I just make music just just as a creative outlet, and if it gets received well, it gets received well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to start making music again, because that's a passion of mine. So, and I'll continue to make music. If I get one view, if I get negative views, if that's even possible, I'll continue to make music.
Yep. Right. Moving on into the next question. That will be, what is the reason you didn't brought back Ghost the Rapper?
Well, hey man, Ghost the Rapper's still here. It's kind of like my alter ego. Yeah, he's still there somewhere. But right now, I just wanted to change things up. I wasn't feeling, honestly, like my first three albums, they were relatively well received, but I wasn't feeling them all that much, and I just felt I needed to go a different route. So, and I touched on this earlier, but like the Phoenix, the Legend of the Phoenix or whatever it's called, you could look it up. It's like basically a bird that rises from the ashes. So how I kind of looked at that was Ghost the Rapper was killed, burned, whatever, and then Phoenix arose from the ashes. However you want to look at it, that was just kind of the idea behind it, and I just like the name too. I think it has a good ring to it. The original reason I was Ghost the Rapper is because I started out before 2020. I was ghostwriter, so I would write for other artists. And so when I decided to start rapping myself, that's when I was like, okay, I got to think of a name. And I thought, since I'm a ghostwriter, I'll just do Ghost, Ghost the Rapper.
Next question. So just like what you mentioned in the second question about Nas, Biggie, do you have a favorite song that considered to be classic?
Oh man, I got a lot of favorite songs. Narrow it down to one is tough, but I think Jay-Z, Linkin Park, Numb has got to be up there. If we're talking nostalgia, especially No Church in the Wild remix with Jay-Z, Kanye, that's got to be up there. Oh, and speaking of Jay-Z, I was talking about New York rappers I'm inspired by. I should have mentioned him. But yeah, man. I mean, those are a couple of songs that get me going.
Moving on into the ninth question. If you could change anything about the industry, what it will be?
If I could change something about the industry, and I don't know. I think it kind of disappoints me that a lot of, we're talking the rap industry, right? Or music in general.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So for a lot of rappers, I feel like they put themselves into a box. They feel like they have to put out a certain image of themselves to get big and to make money. I don't like that, man. I feel like a lot of these rappers aren't being true to themselves, but because their label's telling them like, yo, we need to see this side of you to make money, basically. Like we want to grow, we want you to grow, which is a myth, but and it's just I hate to see that because I feel like there's a lot of talent that goes unnoticed or it's just never brought to light because they're trying to be something they're not. So that's something I would change, but I don't have any power to change that.
And the final question of the day before we're gonna end it, that will be, what's gonna be your next album and your future plans?
Well, I'm working on an EP that's gonna be dropping hopefully May, end of April or early May. And then I got a joint album with my rap group. It's me, Slick of the Ice, and Chris Cantrell. We have a rap group called The Underdogs. And we're going to be dropping a joint album in June. That's the plans for now. Yeah.
Well, that was it, folks. Phoenix, if you have anything to say close to the outro, can you make it somehow?
Alright, man. Just everyone listening to this, be sure to check out Church of Phoenix. Let me know what you think. I'm always looking for ways to improve, and be on the lookout for my EP dropping in the spring, and then the Underdogs album dropping in the summer. And everybody tuning into this, be sure to check out every SVR podcast, because you, my good sir, are a podcast legend.
And I will see you guys through the next episode of the SVR Podcast. See you later and goodbye.